On this episode, we are discussing all things letting people go, why it's important, why it's so hard, but also why it's so vital to know who should be in your life in this current season. Coming up next on the Third Quarter Podcast. Welcome to the Third Quarter Podcast. I'm your host, Ace, and you know I am blessed by the best, and so are you. Thank you for making this the number one podcast in the world in health and wellness. You know, statistically, it doesn't show that, but in my heart and in my spirit, we are on our way to being the number one podcast in the health and wellness, mental wellness space. That's where we headed, and we're headed there because of you. To be honest, right now, we are in the top 150. That's not bad for your first 7 days. That's not bad for your first go round, right? So at the time of this recording, we are in the top 150 in the mental wellness, health and wellness space, depending if you're looking on Apple or Spotify. But that's because of you. So if you haven't yet, please follow the podcast and rate it and review it, because the more you do that, number one, you will be notified whenever we drop a new episode. And number two, it helps people that don't know who we are discover us, and then we can give them what they may be needing. So, but let's get into today's episode, and we're talking all things letting people go. If I'm being honest, this is probably the hardest thing, or one of the hardest things we can do as human beings, is get to the point when we are letting people go. Why is it so hard? Why is it so challenging? Why is it so difficult to make a decision when you know in your heart that someone just isn't right? And it is not just about, intimate relationships. It could be friendships. It could be family members, coworkers. It could be any relationship dynamic that has run its course. Or maybe it needs to be redefined because you're no longer the person that you were when you first entered this said relationship. But I can tell you firsthand where you are going in your life. Where you're going in your life, you have to have the right people in your circle. Flat out. Where you are wanting to go, you're not going to get there if you don't have the right people in your life, in your circle, in the right season. I think the more that we understand that life is seasonal, that it's not linear, it's not something that is constant, it is evolving, it's changing, the more that we get a grasp on that idea that life is a seasonal thing. It's not summer all the time, it's not spring, it's not winter, it's not fall. Every season has a time. And just like seasons, there are going to be certain people in your life and my life that are seasonal as well. And the challenging thing is having that discernment and knowing when someone's season is up. Because that's when you have to make the decision. Are you going to continue to endure something that has expired? Or are you going to make the hard decision in separating yourself or removing yourself from something that is no longer serving you? Because also, too, if it's not serving you, then it's not going to serve them either. Because, and I'll get into this right now, it gets easier to make a decision to remove yourself from someone or to cut someone out of your life when you recognize that if the relationship or the friendship is not serving you, it also cannot serve them. Because if it's not serving you, then you can't be the best version of yourself within this dynamic. So if you can't be the best version of yourself in this dynamic, that means they also cannot get the best version of you as well. So no matter how comfortable, how much they enjoy having you around, in due time, they're not going to be able to get the version of you that they like or they hope, because you're going to start to have resentment. You're going to start to hate it. You're going to start to get annoyed. You're going to start to get pissed. So it's not just about you making the decision that this relationship or friendship is no longer serving you. It's also you having the foresight and seeing that eventually this ain't going to be good for you neither. So I'm doing this for the both of us, but mainly me. Okay. When we understand that life is seasonal, it kind of makes things a little easier to digest. When you're looking at life as a linear line, it's harder to make decisions of what is truly best for you because you're always looking at life in one straight line, but you have to look at life in sections. And the frustration comes in is when we are treating every season like it's summer, and you can't do that. You can't complain that it's cold outside because you refuse to get dressed for the season of winter. No matter how much you scream, you complain, you shout, you get pissed, you get angry that it's snowing outside, you cannot change the season. The only thing you can do is adjust according to the season. And letting people go is you adjusting to the season that you're in. Letting people go is not a bad thing. It's a good thing because it's you making a decision, just like in the episodes I said earlier about reclaiming your power and learning to say no. You recognizing that a friendship or a relationship is no longer serving you to the point where it's hindering you because you have to lower yourself or you can't be your full self, or maybe the things that you used to be interested in, you're no longer interested in, and this person only wants to do what you used to be interested in. It's important to know that you're taking a stance on you. You're making a decision that based on who I am right now and where I'm wanting to go, this is not going to work for me. So is it going to be challenging letting people go? Hell yeah, it's going to be challenging. It is going to be hard because there is a deep-rooted relationship of love, of memories, of time, of attention, of good days that are just buried into your spirit, buried into your soul and your heart and your mind. And it's hard to dig those roots up because they are rooted deep, especially if you've been with this person or they've been in your life for years, decades. It's going to be very, very challenging, but it's not impossible. Grieving is the hardest part in all of this. And sometimes I think we talk about grieving only in relation to when people pass away. But in reality, grieving is going through the process of detoxifying, the memories, the thoughts, the feelings of when anything in your life that has meaning is no longer existing. So when you decide to leave a relationship or a friendship of an extended period of time, you're going to go through a grieving process. Because that grieving process is you going through detoxifying the time that you had with this person. And it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel confused. It's okay to feel discombobulated because a large part of your life has now been uprooted. It's okay to feel that way. When my brother passed away, man, it took me years. There's still residual grieving there, But the more that I allowed myself to grieve and the more I decided to let go of the idea that my brother physically is no longer going to be with me, but spiritually he's with me every single day, it allowed me to, one, develop a new relationship with him in a different way. But it also gave me a deeper capacity to love people that are in my life currently. Someone asked me not that long ago, maybe it was a few months ago, what is the biggest thing that you gained from losing a brother? And I would say it's my capacity to love. Losing someone, your best friend, your blood brother, losing someone like that, and maybe you can relate to this in some type of way. it allows you to love people that are in your life more deeply because you know what it's like to feel extreme loss. So when you are letting someone go, there's going to be a period of time where you have to allow yourself to grieve because that relationship or that friendship is no longer there. The calls, the text messages, going out to eat, going on dates, going to dinner, going to kick it, going to watch the game, doing things together, that's no longer in existence. And then what you're going to realize is you're going to have a lot of time on your hands to think about it because a large part of your life is no longer there. And a part of being okay with letting people go is also being okay with feeling the loss of letting someone go. You're a human being. You're not a robot. You are a human being. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to go through the pain of loss. And I think the pain of loss, the pain of that time of uncertainty is why most people don't make the decision that they know that they're supposed to make. It's like when you talk to someone that is wanting to leave a relationship, right? Like they've been Googling when to leave a relationship, where are the top red flags in a relationship, right? Like they know that they're supposed to leave. But what they're doing is they're looking for that one thing that agrees with how they feel rather than listening to the people and the things that's telling them that they are in agreement with what they're supposed to do. So they're going to ask all their friends what they should do, and everyone is agreeing with them. Yeah, you should leave him, or yeah, you should leave her. But they're going to keep asking till they get that one friend that says, well, maybe you should give it some more time. And they're like, yes, I found my person that agreed with my feelings because I don't want to do this because it's going to be too damn hard. And then they stay. And they stay in a friendship or a relationship or a job longer than they should. And it's spoiled. I love cereal. All right? I'm sorry. I love cereal. But you're never going to catch me eating cereal with spoiled milk. I don't love cereal that much to consume something that's toxic in order to eat something that I love. And a lot of us are enjoying cereal with spoiled milk. You have gotten so used to having someone in your life that has passed the expiration date that spoiled milk now tastes normal to you. Okay, hold up. If I wasn't sitting in this chair, I'd be running laps right now. You better pull your car over. Did you hear what I just said? Some of you, and maybe it's you, you've gotten so used to chaos. You've gotten so used to relationships and friendships that have expired that the feeling of chaos and the feeling of having spoiled friendships and relationships now feels normal to you, where peace feels wrong. Think about that. You prefer dysfunction because you've been in dysfunction so long, you don't think it's dysfunctional, you think it's normal. The reason why we have to muster up the strength and the courage and the boldness to let certain people go, because it is taking a stand and declaring war on your old self, that you are no longer going to choose dysfunction, you are no longer going to choose chaos, you are no longer going to choose spoiled relationships, friendships, and milk just for the sake of cereal. Letting people go is you deciding that the most important relationship you have on this earth is the relationship you have with yourself. The only way for you to have pure, great, fruitful, abundant relationships with friends, family, intimate relationships, businesses, etc., is if you have a pure, blissful, courageous, loving relationship with you. And if you are listening to this right now and you're thinking of like someone or some people came to the top of your mind, just know the longer you are hanging on to friendships and relationships and workspaces that have expired, you are choosing, whether you know or not, to live a life of spoiled milk. You cannot enjoy life to the fullest potential. You can't grow to your fullest potential. You can't be in a relationship that is going to serve you, that is going to give to you, that's going to pour into you, that is going to be abundant, that's going to be blissful, that's going to be magnetic, legendary, if everywhere you turn, you're surrounded by spoiled milk. So, is it okay to let people go? Absolutely, because you're choosing you. Is it vital to let people go? Absolutely, because you're choosing you. Is it hard to let people go? Absolutely. Why? Because you're choosing you. You want to know why it's hard to let people go? Because a big part of it is we're not used to choosing us. We're used to choosing others to the point where choosing ourselves seems wrong. And it's not. Are you going to upset people? Yes. Are you going to piss someone off? Yes. Is someone going to beg and plead for you to keep them in your life? Yes. Is it going to be hard to not answer text messages or calls or not see someone as often as you used to? Yes. But is your potential, your future, your calling, your season, your peace worth it? Oh, hell yeah. So don't be discouraged. Don't be living in guilt or shame because you're choosing yourself. Letting people go is a part of the process. Now think about this. Letting people go is about evolving. In order for a butterfly to exist, it has to let go of being a caterpillar. It has to desire the idea of evolving into a butterfly more than the idea of staying in the comfort of the cocoon. It has to love the concept of what it can be than the certainty and the comfort of where it's been. You, my friend, can be a butterfly, but you have to make a decision. Are you going to allow yourself to evolve and get comfortable with being uncomfortable? Because it's not going to be easy. Anything worth it is not going to be easy. You have to allow yourself to be in a place of discomfort. You have to allow yourself to be comfortable in uncertainty. You have to shed the idea that you have to know everything and know exactly where you're going, because you wanting to know everything is going to prevent you from doing anything. Don't wait until you know everything in order to do. You got to do it until you know. So you got a choice to make. Better yet, you got a decision to make. Are you going to prioritize the comfort and the certainty of the caterpillar? Or are you going to choose your potential? You're going to choose your future. You're going to choose your calling. You're going to choose your peace and embark on this journey of not knowing what it truly means to be a butterfly, but having the faith that there's something there for you on the other side. But it's going to require you from detachment and letting go of the familiar. And that comes in the form of people. You are not the only one. I have to do it. We all have to do it. It's a prerequisite. In order for us to go and become who we're called to be, it requires us from letting go and detaching from people whose time is up. So I'm going to leave you with this. If you're still listening to this, you know that there's a decision that you have to make. There's a person or there are people that you may have to remove, you may have to reposition, or you might have to redefine. You may have to remove someone completely. Maybe you need to reposition them. Maybe they're a little closer than they should be. So instead of being a friend, maybe you need to reposition them to being an associate. So you don't talk to them every day, you don't see them all the time, you see them occasionally. Or maybe you need to redefine. Redefine the meaning of this person in your life. But whatever it is you do, make sure that you choose you first. And through you choosing you, you will know exactly what to do with the others. I love you so much. Be safe, be blessed. And remember, if you haven't followed the podcast yet, please do so. If you thought of anybody during this episode that this could help and serve, please share and send this to them. The more, the merrier. This community is growing. I am so ecstatic at what we're doing, man, and we're just now getting started. So I thank you. I love you. I believe in you. And this has been the Third Quarter Podcast.